Well, that's all for now on the Morning Report from Sue Carpenter and me, Donald Trelford. After the 9 o'clock news here on LBC Newstalk 97.3 FM, Simon Bates will be inviting your comments on the bombing of Jewish targets in London and asking exactly how safe we are in London. While on our sister station, London Talkback Radio, 11:52 AM, Peter Murray with the Morning Talkback. Sue and I will be back tomorrow at the usual time, 6 till 9. Till then, have a good day.
Good morning.
LBC Newstalk 97.3 News.
Good morning, it's 9 o'clock. This is Jonathan Staples. Israel's military attaché to London is criticising the British authorities for failing to prevent a second car bomb attack on a Jewish target in London. 5 people were injured in the explosion outside the headquarters of an Israeli welfare organisation in North Finchley. Brigadier General Azriel Nevos says the authorities have blundered. He claims his staff warned the government of a danger to Jewish institutions following the Israeli embassy blast yesterday. Labour MP Greville Janner is demanding a full government inquiry into the explosions.
We want to know why a car was able to draw up outside this building, why a car could pull up alongside the wall of the Israel embassy and be left there while a woman got out of it, what the government is proposing to do to try to protect Jewish buildings, Jewish communal institutions and Israeli institutions in our city.
The attacks have fueled fears of a concerted campaign to derail the Middle East peace process. Malvin Benjamin of the Israeli opposition party Likud Herut in London believes the peace accord is doomed.
In 1938, Winston Churchill said after Munich that Britain had a choice between war and shame. She chose shame, but she will get war. I'm not saying Israel has a choice between shame and war, but I do believe that she has followed the illusion of peace with organizations and personalities like Arafat, whose word cannot be believed at any point.
The two sides in the rail dispute are expected to meet within the next 48 hours for fresh peace talks. It comes as signal workers continue their 2-day strike. British Telecom is planning more price cuts this year after announcing rising first-quarter profits. Pre-tax profits have increased from £757 to £781 million, with the number of inland calls up 7% over the year. But the company is warning it'll be facing heavy redundancy costs. The widow of a man killed by a violent schizophrenic released back into the community is launching a trust to help the families of other victims. Jane Zito's husband, Jonathan, was stabbed to death at a tube station in North London. She blames the government's care in the community policy for allowing his killer, Christopher Clunis, to roam free. Doctors say health warnings about the dangers of getting skin cancer are being ignored. New research shows Britons don't believe the sun can be as strong in Balham as Benidorm. Professor Gordon McVie of the Cancer Research Campaign says unless people take precautions, there'll be a dramatic increase in skin cancer.
People pay to go to Benidorm because they know it's going to be hot. You go to the chemist, you get the anti-diarrhea medicines and the things for the sore tummies and the headaches and so on, and you get your skin protection stuff. What we haven't yet got through to people, obviously, is to have that sort of gear around at home for the occasional hot sunny day that we get.
Now it's time for the latest financial news. Here's Robin Amlot.
The FTSE 100 share index is down 8.4 at 3108.8. The market lower on a mix of factors. It closed lower than its best levels yesterday. The market in Wall Street was down, and there's a big government gilts auction coming up this morning. BAT and British Telecom have kicked off the reporting season, both showing figures well above forecast. BT shares up 2 at 384, but BAT are down 7 at 437. In the foreign exchanges, the pound's unchanged against the dollar at $1.52.5. It's down a pfennig at 2 marks 41. And the dollar is down 2/3 of a pfennig at 1 mark 58.
Sports news now. The Benetton Ford Formula One motor racing team will decide today whether or not to appeal against the suspension imposed on their driver Michael Schumacher by the sport's governing body, the FIA. Schumacher, who leads the World Drivers' Championship, has been banned for 2 races and had 6 championship points deducted for 2 breaches of regulations at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. If they decide not to appeal, Schumacher will miss his home Grand Prix Prix at Hockenheim on Sunday. If they do appeal, he'll be able to race, but he'll run the risk of the penalty being increased. LBC's weather for London bright this morning with some sunshine to come. A warm afternoon, further spells of sunshine. It should stay dry, just the small chance of some thundery weather by the end of the day. The high today 27 degrees with lighter southwesterly winds. On the LBC roof in West London right now, 17.6. LBC News Time, 9:05.
This is the Simon Bates Show on LBC Newstalk 97.3.
Wednesday, July the 27th, 1994. Good morning. It's just after 9:05. There can be no doubt, of course, about the biggest story this morning. It's the two bombs that went off in London yesterday and the implications.